Graham, good to speak to you again. I'll just start with the win at the weekend. What are your reflections on that game a few days on now?
Very valuable win, deserved. Thought we played well. Started obviously in great fashion with the goal from Bobby, but looked more like us, I think, in comparison to the previous two games. That's the biggest thing for me, and the challenge for us now is taking that sort of performance on the road. When obviously the previous two games we haven't done that, so that's a challenge for us. But the environment, the atmosphere again was electric. Like it was a couple of weeks ago against Colchester, and the players rose to the occasion again, as I'd expect now, with the talent we have and the mindset that the players are in. Did
that early goal take you by surprise as much as it got everyone else off guard as well?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I didn't probably celebrate as much as I do the other goals. It was like, sort of looking around in amazement. But and then it was, have we scored too early, sort of thing? Because I wanted to see an improvement in our performance, and sometimes goals can change it for different reasons. And we've maybe had a couple of examples early in the season when we've scored early and then try to manage the rest of the game, but I didn't see any of that from the players. To be fair, we committed to the how we wanted to play, the style of play, and our vision of what the players can achieve. And we needed to score probably a little bit earlier the second goal to give us a little bit more comfort and composure. There was a couple of moments, obviously the offside goal, the penalty save in between that, but once Cav scored the second, the 3 points were there for us. But so a really good day, and it did catch me by surprise, to be honest. I've never had a team score that early, to be honest.
Yeah. On Callum Kavanagh, is he coming of age a little bit towards the back end of the season? He's taken a lot of flack, I think, at times from people and what have you, as recent as a couple of weeks ago. What have you seen in terms of his development and how he's playing at the minute?
I think development is the appropriate word. I think he's a young player that's come in midway through last season, made a really good impression on the club and the team. I think made a couple of mistakes in between the two seasons, as in mental, maybe thinking football was easy. First team football was easy, Bradford City was easy, I'm not sure, but I've spoke to Cav several times this season about the consistency needed in mindset and in behaviour and everything you do as a professional footballer. But part of that sort of confidence and cockiness that he has, I like, and that's what I tagged in on last season when he came into the team. I liked the way he sort of had that effervescence about himself and that self-confidence, but there's a balance between losing your sort of the basics of your game and what you have to do in training, how you have to look after yourself, all those sort of things. So I think he's I won't say a typical young player, but I think it's a learning process for all young players when they come into the senior football for the first time, as in not a lone player, but a bona fide first team player. And you learn as you go along, but it's important that they do learn. If they don't learn, then quickly someone else takes their spot or takes their opportunity. But I think he's learnt a few lessons this season, but he wants to score goals. He wants to help Bradford win, and he did that last week with his all-round performance, which I think followed on from Port Vale. I thought he played well against Port Vale as well without the goals. I told him that after the game, and I thought he took that into the game last week. Set up the first goal, scored the second, but for me, him scoring in the 86th minute, he was still on the pitch because of all the basics he did well before that. So he earned his right to stay on the pitch all the time, and this is what I'm trying to get through to Cav and other players that are goal scorers. You can't just rely on your goals to keep you in the team. You have to be part of the team performance, and I thought he's done that in the last two games.
That win as well obviously puts you top of League Two. There's a lot of giddiness and noise around that, in part mainly because of us, admittedly. Does it change, from your experience, does the mindset change at all from being the chasers as you were to now being the chased?
Well, I'll be honest, I felt like we were being chased when we were in second position as well, because it's 3 teams that get promoted automatically. I think that's the target for all the teams at the top end of the table. So I think we've been in that sort of position for a few weeks now, in that top 3. So for me, the change in position last week doesn't really affect anything. I think we've been in that mind space for a month or so now anyway. So I think that's the important dotted line, the top 3, and that's where we've been for a few weeks. So I think there is a difference in the noise, or maybe the perception of where you're in the table, whether you're chasing or you're already there. And I think there is that, but that's part of a professional's life to adapt to that and see it for what it is, and just keep it in context, and just understand whether you're chasing or being chased, you still have to win games. So it always comes back down to the common denominator of trying to win 3 points at every match day. So keep it simple, keep the target the same.
Does your approach then with the squad stay exactly the same in that sense, with just those 5 games to go now?
Yeah, 5 games to go, 10 games to go. It doesn't matter. It's we just got to keep our eyes right in front of us. The next challenge, the next hurdle, overcome it, go to the next one until the finishing line is there and you're over it. That's it. It's I know it's quite a simple analogy and it's quite a basic thought process, but I think any other sort of thinking takes your eye off what you have to do as a player, as a coach, as a manager. And for me, look, we understand it. I've said it earlier in the season when we were in a good position, you know, and there was an excitement around the crowd and you media guys and everything, and it's good for everyone else to feel that as well. And I want the players to feel that excitement as well. But when it comes down to work time and game time, you have to understand that you have to be a little bit cold, a little bit, definitely focused, and just make sure you're doing the basics of your game and the team's game. And that's what I thought we did really well last Saturday. So that's another step forward for our development as a squad and as a team, of overcoming challenges and doubt now and then from ourselves or from outside, and making sure that we can step forward into the next challenge. And I think this group of players have done that exceptionally well for 12 months.
I wanted to ask you about your back 3. You made a couple of adjustments again at the weekend, and you've obviously got the players to do that with Neil and Romany coming in. At this stage of the season, what goes into the decision as to who makes that starting back 3? Is it a lot sort of focused on match fitness and fatigue when you get to this stage in a campaign?
It's everything really. It's everything. I think I'm blessed with 6 or 7 really good centre halves, you know, and I've spoken to them many times, you know, as individuals, and I look at the board that's behind them when I'm talking to them and say, lads, you're in the strongest part of the team, as in for competition and quality. I think it's something that we identified at the start of the run when we were playing Saturday, Tuesday. We understood that we had to make sure, because earlier in the season when we had a few injuries at the start, I think we had 2 fit centre halves for the whole squad for game after game, and it hurt us, you know, really badly. We had to change shape, all that sort of thing. We couldn't be in that position again, so we've tried to avoid it by rotating the team. What I've been delighted with is the way the players have bought into it and understood, because you know there's been injuries to probably all of them, I think. So it's like, I want to keep you all fit until the end of the season. So, and there's tactical elements into it, mindset, how they've trained. I'm a big believer in training, so the players understand that. The longer they work with me, I think they understand that my trust is built up with their daily habits, their daily behaviours, how they train all the time. Because I think then it takes away any doubt going into match day. If that's how you are on every day, why would match day be any different? But if you're up and down during the week, and then we want what we need on the Saturday, there's going to be a doubt there. So that's what we've tried to create here with the whole squad. I think the competition is good elsewhere, but I think that's where we've got more options than anyone else, or any part of the other pitch. So it could change again on Saturday. I haven't looked too deeply into it yet. But I trust them all. That's the biggest thing for me. I trust more than 3 players. I trust them all.
How tight are they as a group? I know you've got a tight squad anyway, I'd imagine, but that group in particular, because again, when we've seen different combinations throughout the season, the consistency seems to be there, and it never seems to drop. Or is that on them, or is that on more so the style, or what do you put that down to, just that consistency?
Well, I think we've been consistent in our message from pre-season about how we defend and how we press ball and how we defend our box and stuff like that. So that's not changed since day one of pre-season. So certainly the lads that have been here since that time, they've just had repeated messages, repeated sessions, repeated analysis. Obviously, there's a couple of additions that have come in since then, but we don't change our way, so and we work on it. We at this stage it's more analysis and actual grass time, and there's a humility between them. So when we have the meetings just with that group and the goalkeepers, they're picking out other players' positive clips as well. So they put their clips in and then they'll pick out somebody else that's even playing in that same position. He did this great or something like that, and they're not afraid either to stand up and admit a mistake. Even though there's good players around them that could take their spot, but I think we've tried to create they're all in it together, and they all want success. So I know, look, it's difficult because I'm an ex-player myself, and I wanted to play every minute of every game every week. So I know I still understand and have empathy for players out of the team or come out of the team after a good performance. But the modern game now is a squad game, without a shadow of a doubt. It's not about 11 players anymore. And I think they are a real close group. They push each other, they support each other, which we've seen several instances of. And, long may that continue.
It's been fascinating to see the sort of development of that back three throughout the season, and individual players as well. I think you said after the game at the weekend that Aiden Baldwin, putting him in the centre of that three makes you look a bit more like yourselves. What did you sort of mean by that, and why is that?
Well, look, Aiden played solely in the middle at his previous club, and but I didn't see him as that when we recruited him, and I told him that before he signed. I told him where I wanted to play him, this, that, because I didn't want him to come under any false circumstances, and then I've lied to him on day one. That's not how I do it. I explain to them exactly how I see it. If they decide it's not for them, then that's fine, they can go somewhere else, and we try to get somebody else. But he came here under that sort of that idea, and he's played the majority on the right hand side, but we put him in now. I'm not sure what was the first game, and Aiden's a lad. He's got great composure, great footballing ability, and we wanted that, but we needed it. I needed to trust him defensively as well. You know what I mean? And I don't know if I had that when I first signed him. I could see all the attributes he has, but that number 5 in the middle of the back three is a real responsible position. They're all responsible, but the sort of leader of that back three in the middle of it. And I think he needed to develop that side of his game and understand what we were about as a group before I opened that up to him, because I know he wanted to play there. Ultimately, I knew that, and and I just going back, look, and he didn't play well at Accrington when he played there, you know what I mean, and he'll be the first to tell you that as well. But when I watched us against Port Vale, we didn't really play how we wanted to play, and for us to give ourselves the best chance of being us, I think we have to play in a certain way, and Aiden helps us do that. He's comfortable in possession, he's quick, he's mobile. I just needed to make sure 100% that he'd be a defender first and foremost, and so that was on my perspective more rather than his.
Looking ahead to this coming weekend then, just personnel-wise first, I know Alex Patterson and Neil Byrne came off with little knocks or cramp. Are they both good to go? Yeah,
they trained today, so they both could have trained yesterday, but we managed them much to their frustration. They were desperate to be out there, but we, at this stage of the season, we're not making them any fitter. We just have to maintain what they are. They're fit professionals anyway, and they do everything to the best of their ability. But look, if you come off with a little niggle or a cramp, something's there. So we have to make sure that it's out of the system before we select you again. So we've given them the best chance of being ready for Saturday.
Any other fresh concerns?
No. Everyone's trained today who was available to us last week. So apart from yesterday, but that was our decision to manage them. Everyone's trained today.
On Swindon, the away form this season, you alluded to it earlier, has been a struggle at times. How do you go about fixing that with 3 away games left to go? Is there any sort of perfect science to it, or any particular way you can fix that?
There's no book. There's no textbook. No, look. Do you know what the thing is, right? And I've looked into this. Right, we played 20 away games. I think we played 10 of them as a 3-5-2, 10 of them as a 3-4-3, roughly. We've played. We had different players available at the start of the season. So when we lost 6 of our starting 11 for 3 months. I think we lost quite a few away games in that period. You know what I mean? So it was a different team. So it's trying to focus on maybe our shape now, the players we've had available now. But and there's things that sometimes go against us, which we have to try and deal with if we can. But sometimes we haven't got control over that. And that's why the Port Vale one for me was a frustrating one, because we didn't look like us, so it was nothing to do with any outside influences. It was down to us. We just didn't play how we play. So we have to try and understand that, and that's what we focused on more than anything. Is what do we look like, and just keep repeating that. So I don't know if away from home we've tried to fix a couple of things, because we did notice a pattern early in the season, but I think it's a different group of players now and playing in a different formation slightly. Still back 3 and wing backs and so forth, but the midfield's different and the front 3. So I think we've just got to go and when I spoke to the players 12 months ago about what I wanted to see from the team when we were in a bad spot, it wasn't about winning the next game, it was about character and personality. Well, we have to show that away from home as well. We can't just show it in our own backyard when we've got 18,000, 20,000 supporting us and around us as well. We have to show it when we go into difficult atmospheres, difficult environments. Not focus on something we can't control, because that's difficult, and be us. It's no guarantee, but I think either way you're giving yourself the best chance. And but last season, after that difficult period in March, I think we won our last 3 games of the season away from home after a horrendous run. I think we're in a better position now than we were at that point last year. So the challenge is there for us, but the opportunity is there for us as well.
Can you sort of overthink some of the little aspects sometimes when it comes to that, and maybe lose sight of the bigger picture or the simple things almost?
100%, without a doubt. And I think there might have been a bit of that, focusing on and I potentially had a part to play in that as well, obviously as the manager. But what we've got to understand is, up to this point, we've been the best team in the division, home and away overall. You know what I mean? And for the last 12 months, we have points wise. So go into the game with that belief.
Cheers, Graham. Thank you.
Okay.
Obviously, a long journey down to Swindon, but early kick-off, does that in some ways make it easier in that there isn't a long time before the game starts for players to sit and think?
No, not really, because it's... no, I don't believe so. I think they've got all day Friday, the journey down, all that stuff. The lads will be thinking about the game in and out of playing cards or watching whatever they watch on their iPads and stuff. And so I think it's there's a focus you need around the game, but we don't go too heavy on 3-4 days before the game start focus on the game, because I think it can be sapping as well mentally to overthink things. So like I say, I think if we were doing that, I think we're making a bigger deal of it, and it actually is. But I don't see the kick-off time changing anything from a mental perspective, more physical aspect, as in the journey down. But we train at 11 o'clock in the morning every day. Kicking off at 12:30, so it shouldn't matter that too much, to be honest.
And with that long journey back as well, and then the next game on the Thursday, does that change your routine for next week?
Yeah. Look, but it's English football can be like that, and that, and obviously the more coverage you get, more profile from TV, changing of kick-off times, match days, all that sort of thing. It's become more of the norm. So you have to work in a way from the start of pre-season that you do your work when you can, because you don't know when there's moments when you can't, and you can't get your usual 3-4 day lead up or something like that. So one of the biggest challenges I feel in English football is being ready to perform without the same preparation in between games. That's the biggest challenge. So it's I think we've got a way of working where we can still prepare our games in the best way possible in the previous 48 hours, and that's been pretty consistent over the course of the season. But prior to that, there's difference in most weeks, to be honest. I think the Thursday night one might be a first for me. I can't remember playing on too many Thursdays before, so that's even new for me after 30 odd years in the game. So we'll look forward to it when it comes around.
Yeah, Graham, I was at the Colchester game as a fan and it was incredible. And obviously Crewe was similar. Obviously the players were brilliant too. It certainly wasn't all in the crowd by any means, but it felt like the players really felt 10 feet tall with that crowd behind them. Obviously your away followings are always massive. Can you potentially use that as a bit of fuel when you go down to Swindon? Because you know you're going to take a lot of fans again, and often the City fans outnumber the home fans at games.
I think it's something that we can use to inspire us, that backing that we have. I think the players have learned to do that and to embrace that support. So I think it's really important to us. But the environment at Valley Parade pretty much is quite similar, where the environment away is different each time, and there's different challenges. So I think we've got to break it down to our team against their team if we can. We can't focus on things outside the game or things that we can't control. So we have to focus on our performance, how we can potentially be better than the opponent, understanding that those supporters are always going to be there backing us. I think even when we don't play as well or we don't get the result we all aspire to, I think the support for the team generally over the course of the season has been really strong. So I think it's a source of inspiration for us, but ultimately we still have to do our work, regardless.
You talk about different challenges, and obviously you get that with every team. In that sense then, is it not too big a deal to think about, do I stick or twist after a good win, because you know certain players, certain tactics and certain personnel are going to fit better given the opponent you're coming up against, I guess?
What do you mean stick or twist?
As in changing the team, as in keeping the same team after a good win, or thinking, right, I'm going to put these three lads in or whatever, things like that.
Yeah, but I think I made a mistake after the Colchester game by keeping the same team going into the Accrington game. Personally, because I felt it would be a different game completely. Yeah. But I kept with the team off the back of the performance of the week before, knowing that I think maybe a couple of individuals might be better suited for the Accrington game, and I don't think we played particularly well as an attacking force. So that's part of my learning about it, and I think I've got to be. Listen, all the decisions I make are difficult because I've got more than 11 good players, and I do trust them all. But I need to trust what we've done in the past, as in look at the game, look at who's trained well, look who's ready to play right then and then, and just playing well the week before doesn't guarantee you playing well the week after. It's how you've trained in between. Have you let that last performance change your mindset? Because if you have, then you're putting yourself at risk of coming out. But I think these players have shown that whatever disappointment or frustration they have at maybe not starting one particular game, they put it to the side and they get behind the players. Look, at half time last week I took Rom and George off, but 10 minutes, and I know how gutting that can be for an individual. But 10 minutes into the second half, I turned around and talked to Chris, and they both sat there in the back of the bench supporting the team, and I was like, love that. That's brilliant. That was class. See a little bit of celebration on the second goal. The inside match day thing. I quite like those little videos, and I see Tyreek banging the chairs in the bench, and he's disappointed he's not starting the team. So these players consistently are supporting the players out on that pitch, and that's why we're in the position we're in. It's because of that group ethic, that teamwork, that brotherhood that the players have built up. I think that's the source of our strength, to be honest, and everyone's buying into it.
You obviously play a part in that support, though. We just spoke to Bobby Point, and he said he's come on leaps and bounds under you, but he said you always know what to say to him. And obviously you talked about earlier about having those different conversations or needed conversations with Cav. How important is that? It's such a big squad, but how important is that man management of individuals in your management, getting the right things for the right player?
Yeah, look, I've learned over my time as a manager. I don't think I was that good at it at the start of my career. I know I wasn't. I didn't put enough time and effort into individuals, and I think as I've learned through my career, I think players respond to that, and ultimately I'm here to serve them. I'm here to help them be better. That's my responsibility, and if a word here or there, and sometimes I'll ask one of the coaches to have a word with the player instead, because it's good to hear it from different people sometimes. But I think little and often is more important than one big meeting for an hour or so. When I think keeping people on track, and certainly with young players, I think they need guidance from anyone that can help them along the way. But experienced players as well, I try to help those guys. I don't think it's. I think you can always help everybody. No one's the finished article or perfect. But I think if you can help everyone by an action, a word, I think then everyone can do it. It doesn't have to be from the manager. It can be a coach. It could be anybody. It could be somebody who works, in the kitchen. A bit of support and stuff like that. Honestly, that's how a good club works. But I'll be honest with Bobby. He's someone that I don't think I'd need to talk to that much, to be honest. I think he's really good. I think he trains. I never have to have a word with him about his effort or commitment in training. Tactically, I think I said to him when I put him on the other week, actually, I pulled him round and I went to speak to him and went, actually, you know what you're doing. If he sees that as guidance and support, then fair play, but he knows how to play. And but if he needs correcting or a little bit of help, I'm there to help him, as are the other coaches.
Obviously, you go up against Swindon this weekend, Graham. Obviously, it's easy to look at and think the mid-table not going to go up sort of or down, but can there be those dangerous opponents this time of the season where they can just kind of go out with freedom, whereas the players will be excited being top of the league, but there is that pressure, I guess, of being top of the league, whereas they've maybe got less on their shoulders, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's irrelevant, to be honest. I think it's irrelevant. Look at the character of the manager. I think he's going to be taking it easy. I don't think he'll allow his players to take it easy. There's good players there. I know a couple of them. They're good players. If we need any reminding of that, we've seen our results against other teams in similar positions. It's irrelevant in Monday football, and certainly at this stage of the season, because if you're involved at one end of the table or the other, there's pressure to win. And if you're in the middle, there's pressure to win contracts and impress for next season, this idea. There's one constant in football, and that's pressure to win. It never goes away from anybody. So we will never underestimate any opponent in any game while I'm the manager.
You talk about a manager and a player's mindset, Graham. Obviously, you've gone up from this division with Fleetwood. You've got lads in your squad that have gone up in this crunch time of the season. Can that be a real positive factor that you've kind of got the experience you can teach the lads that maybe haven't been there? Look, this is how you can get over the line, this and that. Is it useful that you've got people around that have been there and done it?
100%. It's why we recruited players like that in the summer, because I know from my own experience of winning a promotion at the age of 27 or 28 for the first time, how much better I was after that, of going through those pressure games and understanding the what is really needed to win consistently. I thought that I had it before. But only when you've done it, you go, actually, no, I needed to put a bit extra in, I need to be more disciplined, I needed to be more focused or whatever, and I need to believe in myself and my team a little bit more than I did in previous years. So there's all those things, and as you get older and you get more experience and you experience those times again, I think it should get you better. But like we did, I didn't just rely on my own history or Chris's own history or something. We looked at the squad. We already had people like Richie Smallwood who had done it before, but then we went out and recruited Neil Byrne and Aiden and Andy Sarsfield. These had all experienced promotion in the last couple of years as well. So this is important for any stage of the season. Even in November, when we were going through a difficult period, November, December, I think it was, these players were invaluable with their advice and demeanour to everyone, all the other teammates. That it's a long road, nothing's decided yet. Let's keep on track, let's keep our focus and understand what the challenge is, and that we are good enough to overcome it. And So any positive experience or negative experience that you've learned from, I think can be used in the future to help you overcome the next challenge.
And just a final one for me, Graham. No one's got more League Two promotion experience in his squad than Anthony Sarcevic. I don't think I've gone anywhere in Bradford in the last month without someone saying, "Do you know when he's back? Do you know when he's back?" Well, I don't. How close is he potentially to featuring this weekend, or is that something that you're monitoring throughout the week?
Yeah, we're just monitoring. He's trained with us this week. Managed yesterday, trained today. So we have to see how he's in 24 hours, how that's affected his body and his legs. So yeah, it's listen, we haven't got weeks and weeks to draw that out because we've only got 5 games of the regular season left. But he's in a good place compared to where he was 3 weeks ago. He's a little ahead of schedule. Well, he's a little bit more than ahead of schedule. So we just have to make sure that the risk reward is important. That is right when we do eventually reintegrate him into the squad, because he's been a really valuable player to us. Obviously on the pitch, I think everyone can see that, but he's always been a motivating force behind the scenes as well, all the way through the season. So, but we brought him here to be on the pitch. So hopefully that's soon.
Cheers, Graham.
I sense the football man in you, Graham. When people say there's nothing to play for, you just have a wry smile because there's sort of it's always something.
I just don't get that mindset or mentality. I don't like it in my own players. You know, on a Tuesday if we're training, on a Wednesday, if you're just going through emotions, I stop it. I speak to the player. What are you doing? You know what I mean? I just don't get it. I don't get it. If you've got a kit on, why are you not doing your best? Why are you not trying your best at least? And but it's hard. Look, I've been there as a younger player when I probably let days go by and waste, you know, and but you don't get them back. So, but as soon as the penny drops, you make every other day count after that, I think, and I'm just trying to pass that on to my own players about making every day count and go home feeling good about yourself that you've earned your money, you've shown you're a good player, and that's I think that's what other managers try to instill in their teams and players as well. So honestly, I think it's a fallacy that there's, you know, you go into these games and they're already done before. I just don't see it in modern day football. I didn't see it in back in my day either, to be honest. When you go out there, players, individuals, managers, they've all got their pride, and you know, it's always at the front.
I mean, it's obviously tight at the top. You look at it, goal difference. How much is that sort of coming into sort of? It could, you know, the margins could potentially. You never know, do you?
Yeah, well, look, it was something we were looking at this stage last season, probably later on. But as we got, we had that late run and we got closer to the playoff positions. We missed by 1 point in the end, but our goal difference would have potentially cost us, I think, as well in one scenario. So, but we'd only obviously had half a season, so it was something that we obviously we knew about. That you have to obviously score more goals than the opponent week in, week out, which leads to a better goal difference. I think when we were not winning, when we had all the injuries at the start of the season, we still weren't conceding goals. You know, we were hard to beat, and if we drew 1-1 or drew 0-0, I was talking about the positivity of it's a point on the board. We haven't conceded lots of goals. We're still hard to beat. This will come in good stead later on in the season when we have our full attacking threat back. That I think that strength that we've got defensively would help us going forward, and I think that has been a case up to this point, but we still have to maintain that going forward.
You touched on it a bit earlier on about the squad, and some might not be getting in at the minute, but they might have 5 minutes in one game, 10 minutes to make a difference. There's those who aren't involved, sort of maybe not even the match day squad. They're all part of it, aren't they? You know, especially now. You know,
honestly, we had 11v11 today in training, and I put the two teams up on the board in the staff room, and I said to Chris, I went, which one's the strongest out of that? Honestly, I genuinely felt that. I was looking at it, I was going, you could play both those teams on Saturday. That's a you know, at this stage of the season, for me as a manager to be able to say, we haven't always had that, obviously. But right now, when we're in the position we're in, that we've got those players all competing with each other and pushing each other, is brilliant to see. So I'm really pleased that we're at this stage with that group of players available. A lot of people behind the scenes done a lot of work to maintain them and keep them available. So we're going to need them all. I keep reiterating that to the whole squad, to every individual, that we need you all. There's value from us to you in everything you do. So keep going.
When you're looking around on the training, I guess you sort of see senior pros having a word with players and all. It sounds like you're really big on all that and your body language, and nothing much sort of passes you by, really.
No, no, I don't. Well, it's my job to notice, and observe and try and correct things or help things before they become big and become problems. So, but also, no, I can't do that job on my own. So I empower my staff, I empower my players to be able to help each other out. And we talk about it before games as well. Listen, encourage each other, remind each other what we're about. We all know our identity. You all know what each other's capable of. To hold each other to their best standards. And that's what I saw last Saturday, and I think that's also at our best. Even when we haven't won, we've still shown great characteristics and body language. I think it's important, because I do think it helps you get out of difficult situations, because you stay positive in your mind or determined either way. Negativity just sucks the life out of you and those around you. So it's like a disease. So try and cure yourself before you're ill, if that's a sentence.
I was going to ask you finally about Bobby. What is he? It's in the history books. Record quickest ever goal for Bradford City. And when I say that, I was saying part of your job is obviously success as a team. It must be great. Young professionals, bringing them on to be good professionals, have a good career in the game. That's part of your remit as well, isn't it? Really, and why you're passionate about it.
But I'm only at this stage of Bobby's career. There's been other coaching staff before him, but ultimately, and I try to get this through to all the players. The one constant through your career, be yourself. I'm telling you now, I played for 24 years. I think I played for 21 managers. So which one was going to inspire me, or was I going to motivate myself and take control of my own career? I would say Bobby has always faced challenges head on. I was using him as an example when I was having a meeting with the academy staff yesterday. I go 12, 13 months ago, he wasn't in my match day squad for 2 or 3 months. Now he's one of our most effective players. That's from his determination and his attitude. I'm just helping it along. But it's Bobby that's done what he's done. And it's great, I didn't realise until after the game, someone told me it was a club record, but for someone, who's so popular with the supporters, but who is absolutely attached to this club, I'm glad that it was him that got that goal, to be honest, because he deserves it for being in this position in the first place, because he's deserved it and he's earned it.